Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and reaching for your toothbrush, except it isn't there. No toothbrush, no toothpaste, no mouthwash, no dental floss, no dentist. Not today, not next week, not for the rest of your life. Now ask yourself something. How long would your teeth survive? A month, a year, 10 years? Most of us assume the answer would be obvious. Without modern dentistry, our teeth would quickly rot away. After all, ancient humans didn't brush their teeth, right? Well, that's where the story becomes surprisingly strange, because archaeologists have examined thousands of prehistoric skulls, and many of them reveal something completely unexpected. Strong teeth, healthy jaws, very few cavities. In some cases, better dental health than many people living today. How is that possible? How could people who never owned a toothbrush sometimes have healthier mouths than people with electric toothbrushes, fluoride toothpaste, and professional dentists? Did ancient humans secretly clean their teeth? Did evolution somehow protect them? Or is modern life creating problems that our ancestors rarely experienced? Tonight, we're traveling hundreds of thousands of years into the past to discover what really happened inside the mouths of ancient humans, how they kept their teeth alive, and why one of the biggest dental myths in history may actually be completely wrong. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to Sketching Humanity. Now, let's smile and travel back to the Stone Age. Close your eyes and picture an ancient human. What do they look like? Wild hair, animal skins, primitive tools. Now picture their teeth. Most people imagine broken, yellow, rotting teeth, perhaps even missing half of them. Movies reinforce this image constantly. It feels logical. If no one brushed their teeth, their mouths must have been terrible. Except, archaeology tells a different story. When scientists examine prehistoric skeletons, especially hunter-gatherers who lived before agriculture, they often discover remarkably healthy teeth. Not perfect, certainly not spotless, but surprisingly free of cavities. This seems impossible at first. Modern humans brush twice every day, yet tooth decay affects billions of people worldwide. Ancient humans had no toothpaste, and somehow avoided many of the same problems. How? The answer begins with something we rarely think about. Not the toothbrush, the food. Because your toothbrush removes plaque, but your diet decides how much plaque exists in the first place. Long before dentists appeared, nature had already created a very different kind of dental environment. And understanding that environment changes everything we think we know about prehistoric smiles. If ancient humans rarely brushed their teeth, why did so many of them avoid cavities? The answer wasn't hidden inside their mouths. It was hidden inside their meals. Today, sugar is everywhere. Breakfast cereals, soft drinks, bread, sauces, snacks, even foods that don't taste particularly sweet often contain large amounts of refined carbohydrates. The bacteria living inside your mouth absolutely love them. Every time those bacteria digest sugar, they produce acids. Those acids slowly dissolve tooth enamel. Repeat that process often enough, and a cavity begins to form. Ancient hunter-gatherers lived in an entirely different world. There were no candy bars, no soda, no chocolate, no white bread, no refined sugar. Their food came directly from nature. Wild fruits were usually much less sweet than modern varieties. Roots were tough. Nuts were hard. Seeds required powerful chewing. Meat demanded long periods of biting and tearing. Eating wasn't effortless. Every meal became exercise for the jaw. That constant chewing stimulated saliva production. And saliva is one of your mouth's greatest natural defenses. It washes away food particles, neutralizes harmful acids, delivers minerals that help repair tiny areas of damaged enamel. In other words, the mouth already possessed its own cleaning system. Ancient humans simply used it far more effectively than most of us do today. Their teeth wore down faster because of coarse foods, sand, dust, and tiny stone particles mixed into meals. But wearing down teeth is very different from rotting them. Many prehistoric skulls show heavy tooth wear, while showing surprisingly few cavities. To modern dentists, that combination tells an important story. Their teeth worked incredibly hard, but the bacteria responsible for tooth decay had far fewer opportunities to thrive. Of course, having a healthier diet didn't mean ancient humans ignored their mouths. Archaeologists have uncovered surprising evidence suggesting that many prehistoric people probably cleaned their teeth, just not with anything resembling a modern toothbrush. Across many cultures, people chewed the ends of small branches until the fibers separated into soft, natural bristles. These chewing sticks are still used in parts of the world today. Some plants even contain natural antibacterial compounds. Without understanding microbiology, ancient people may have accidentally chosen materials that genuinely helped reduce harmful bacteria. Evidence also points toward another simple habit. Toothpicks, tiny grooves discovered between fossilized teeth, suggest that prehistoric humans regularly inserted thin wooden splinters, grass stems, or small bones between their teeth. Sometimes these marks appear again and again on the same teeth, indicating repeated cleaning over many years. Imagine sitting beside a campfire after dinner. No television, no phone, no electricity, only conversation, the crackling fire, and a small wooden stick carefully removing trapped pieces of meat. It doesn't look like modern dental care, but in principle, the goal is exactly the same. Remove food before it creates problems. Some anthropologists even believe that chewing tough fibrous plants naturally scrubbed tooth surfaces throughout the day. Every meal became part toothbrush, part workout, and part dental cleaning. Modern toothbrushes may be far more efficient, but the basic idea, keeping the mouth clean enough to prevent disease, may be far older than civilization itself. Even with healthier teeth, prehistoric humans were not immune to dental problems. Teeth could still crack, they could still break, they could still become infected. Imagine biting into a hard nut hidden inside a tough shell, or accidentally chewing on a tiny stone mixed into your food. Without modern tools, a broken tooth could become a serious injury. And once bacteria reach the soft tissue inside the tooth, the pain could become unbearable. Archaeologists have discovered prehistoric skulls with severe dental abscesses. Some infections ate away parts of the jawbone itself. Others left visible holes where pus slowly escaped through the bone. These people lived with pain that would send many of us straight to an emergency dentist today. Yet many of those skeletons show something remarkable: healing. The surrounding bone often began repairing itself, which means these individuals survived, sometimes for months, or even years. After the infection began, how? Part of the answer was simple: the human immune system. Another part may have come from traditional knowledge. Many plants contain natural compounds that reduce inflammation or relieve pain. Although prehistoric humans knew nothing about bacteria, they spent thousands of generations experimenting with nature. A bitter root that eased swelling, leaves that numbed pain, tree bark that reduced fever. Knowledge like this wasn't written in books. It was passed from one generation to the next around campfires. Sometimes, that knowledge meant the difference between surviving a tooth infection and dying from one. Life without dentists was never easy. But prehistoric humans were far from helpless. Ironically, one of humanity's greatest inventions also became one of the worst things that ever happened to our teeth: agriculture. Around 12,000 years ago, humans began settling permanently. Instead of hunting wild animals and gathering diverse plants, many communities relied increasingly on grains, wheat, barley, rice, corn. These foods provided enormous amounts of energy. They supported growing populations. They made cities possible. Civilization itself was built upon them. But our mouths paid a price. Unlike tough meat or fibrous roots, cooked grains often became soft and sticky. Tiny particles clung to the teeth. The bacteria inside the mouth suddenly had a constant supply of carbohydrates. They multiplied rapidly. Acid production increased. Cavities became far more common. Archaeologists can actually see this transformation. Compare hunter-gatherer skeletons with the skeletons of early farmers, and the difference is unmistakable. Tooth decay increases dramatically. Jawbones become smaller. Crowded teeth become more common. Even wisdom teeth begin causing new problems. Then, thousands of years later, refined sugar arrived. Everything became worse again. The modern dental crisis didn't begin because humans stopped brushing. It began because our diet changed much faster than evolution could keep up. In many ways, Our teeth are still adapted for a prehistoric menu, while living inside a supermarket. If you think prehistoric humans simply endured every toothache, archaeology has one more surprise waiting. Around 9,000 years ago, in what is now Pakistan, people belonging to the Neolithic settlement of Mehrgarh performed something extraordinary. Scientists examining ancient skeletons discovered tiny, perfectly round holes drilled into human teeth, not after death. While the patients were still alive, the holes were remarkably precise. Microscopic analysis suggests they were created using small stone drill bits attached to simple bow drills, the same tools normally used to make beads. Imagine the scene. A patient sits quietly while another skilled craftsperson carefully spins a stone drill against an aching tooth. No electricity, no anesthesia, no stainless steel instruments, only patience, steady hands, and remarkable knowledge. Some of those treated teeth show clear signs that people survived long after the procedure, which means the drilling may actually have relieved pain rather than caused permanent damage. Even more astonishing, archaeologists have discovered evidence that some ancient cavities were later sealed with natural materials such as beeswax. These were not modern fillings, but they reveal something deeply human. People refused to accept pain without trying to solve it. Long before professional dentistry existed, our ancestors were already experimenting with medical treatment. The world's first dentists didn't wear white coats. They carried stone tools, and yet, their determination to save a painful tooth feels surprisingly familiar. So, what can ancient teeth teach us today? Certainly not that we should throw away our toothbrushes. Modern dentistry has saved countless lives. Antibiotics, fluoride, dental surgery, professional cleaning, these are extraordinary achievements. But prehistoric mouths remind us of something equally important. Technology cannot completely compensate for biology. Our teeth evolved over millions of years inside an environment with very little refined sugar, constant chewing, and highly varied natural foods. Then, within only a few thousand years, our diets changed dramatically. Evolution simply hasn't had enough time to catch up. That doesn't mean ancient humans had perfect teeth. Far from it. They suffered broken teeth, extreme tooth wear, occasional infections, and sometimes terrible pain. But the diseases most common in modern mouths, especially widespread cavities, were often much less common before agriculture and processed foods transformed the human diet. Perhaps the greatest lesson isn't about toothbrushes at all. It's about understanding the environment our bodies evolved for. Sometimes, the best way to understand modern health is to study ancient bones. Tomorrow morning, when you pick up your toothbrush, take a moment to think about the countless generations who lived without one. They didn't have toothpaste. They didn't have dentists. They didn't even know bacteria existed. Yet many of them managed to keep surprisingly healthy teeth, using nothing more than nature, experience, and millions of years of evolutionary adaptation. Eventually, civilization gave us remarkable new technologies, but it also changed the foods we eat, the bacteria living inside our mouths, and the challenges our teeth now face every single day. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson hidden inside prehistoric smiles. Progress often solves old problems, while quietly creating entirely new ones. The next time you brush your teeth, remember that you're continuing a story that began hundreds of thousands of years before the first toothbrush was ever invented. If you enjoyed discovering the hidden science behind everyday life in prehistory, let us know in the comments. Which prehistoric daily habit should we explore next? We'd love to hear your ideas. And if you enjoy documentaries about archaeology, anthropology, evolution, and the incredible lives of ancient humans, don't forget to subscribe to Sketching Humanity. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in our next journey into humanity's prehistoric past.